Good morning, everyone. Today we will study Chapter 10 Habitat and Adaptation. In this chapter, we'll study about habitat. What is habitat? Habitat means the place where an organism lives naturally and reproduces. Habitat means a dwelling place, that means home. In this chapter, we'll study about the various types of habitats like forests, grasslands, deserts, and aquatic habitats as well. After that, we'll study the adaptations for the various kinds of habitat. And lastly, we will study about acclimatization. So let's start the chapter. First, we will understand what is habitat. Habitat means the place where an organism lives naturally and reproduces. The living organisms for their food, water, and shelter and other needs they depend on their habitat. Habitat provides the organisms with the suitable conditions to live and reproduce. Plants and animals they often share the same habitat. And in the various habitat, a large variety of plants and animals are found. That means in various kinds of habitat, different variety of the plants and animals are found. Habitat consists of both biotic and abiotic components. Bio means life. So the biotic components, they are the living organisms. And the abiotic components are the non-living components. For example, air, water, sunlight, soil, etc. And the living components, or we can say the biotic components, they are dependent on the abiotic components for their survival. Habitats has been classified into two categories, terrestrial habitat and aquatic habitat. We will study these one by one. First, let us understand what are terrestrial habitats. Habitats on land are known as terrestrial habitats. So, terrestrial habitats are the habitats on land. So, accordingly, the animals that live on land, they will be called terrestrial animals. Terrestrial habitats, they are of various types. For example, grasslands, mountains, forests, deserts, polar regions, etc. We will study all these terrestrial habitats one by one.
Now we will study about grassland. As clear from the name grasslands, this region is dominated by the grass, small trees and shrubs. In the grasslands, taller trees can also be seen. Okay, there are small trees, shrubs and tall trees are also found. But the grassland, they are dominated by the grass. And the grasslands, they get moderate rain and usually windy and dry. That means strong winds blow in the grasslands, and the grasslands, they are usually dry. Grasslands are home to various kinds of animals such as zebra, giraffe, deer, tiger, lion, etc. Now let us see the second type of terrestrial habitat, mountains. Mountains, we know that these are the habitat that are found at the higher altitudes. And we know that as we move up with increase in height, the temperature decreases. So the temperature in the mountains, it is low. So they are usually extremely cold and windy. These mountains, they experience snowfall because the temperature in the mountains is low. And the animals that are found in the mountains are yak, sheep, mountain goat, etc. Now we'll study about the forest. Forest habitat, they are usually dominated by the presence of the large number of plants and trees. In the forest, large number of plants and trees, they are seen. Forests support vegetation. Forests support growth of the plants. In the forest, you can see there will be grasses also, shrubs also, and usually we will see the taller trees in the forest. And the forest, they are home to various kinds of animals also. So the animals that can be seen in the forest, they are the variety of animals, and usually you will see the animals living in the forest, they show the variety of relationships also. One example of such relationship is predator prey relationship. Predator means the animals which kill the other animals for their food, and the prey are the animals that are killed by the predators and eaten as their food. But the forests, they are also classified in the many ways. That means forests, they are also of various types. So let us study them. First is the tropical forest. Tropical forests, they are usually found near equatorial regions. Equator is the imaginary line on the earth which divides earth equally between the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. In the tropical forest, usually the high temperature is there in the tropical forest, and these forests, they get adequate amount of rainfall, so because of which they are also known by the name tropical rainfalls, and they are home to over half of the world's species, because in the forest, in such kind of forest, there is adequate amount of rainfall and temperature is also high, or the temperature is also good. So these tropical forests, they are home to the over half of the world's species. And if we talk about the plants that are found in the tropical forest, they are the orchids, mosses, ferns, etc. Now let's talk about temperate forest. The temperate forest, they are usually found in the northern hemisphere and in certain parts of the southern hemisphere also. If we talk about the common features of these forests, then they are the moderate rainfalls and the mild winters. That means winters in the temperate forests, they are not so harsh. And if we talk about the plants that are seen here, they are oak and pine. And usually we know that in the forest, various variety of animals, they are found. So the animals that are found in the temperate forest, they are deer, giant pandas, and various other species of birds and insects. Now lastly, talk about the boreal forests. The boreal forests, they are located at the higher altitudes, and we know that with the increase in the height, temperature decreases. As the boreal forest, they are found at the higher altitudes, so the temperature is very low, and there is very extremely cold found over there, and the soil is also nutrient poor. For most of the year, the parts of these forests, they are covered with the snow. Now we will talk about the deserts. In the deserts, there is dry sandy soil, and the deserts, they get very less amount of rainfall. Scanty rainfall means less amount of rainfall. And if we talk about the climate of the deserts are very hot during the daytime and they become very cold at night. Some deserts are always cold. That means such kind of deserts that are always cold, they experience extreme cold. Okay, because of which they are known as cold deserts. And if we talk about the Sahara desert, that is the largest hot desert in the world. In the Sahara desert, we may experience the temperature up to 50 degrees Celsius during the day. So it is very hot. And the plant life in the deserts, they include the cacti and some thorny plants. Only in the deserts, such kind of plants are found which require very less amount of water to survive, because we know that in the deserts there is very less amount of water is found. Now let's talk about the polar regions. Polar regions, they are the areas that are found near the North Pole and the South Pole. And these regions, they are extremely cold, so they are covered with the snow and they are very cold for the most part of the year. And during the winter, temperature can go as low as minus 37 degree. So we can you can assume, so the polar regions, they are very, very cold. Now let's talk about the aquatic habitats. Aquatic habitat means the habitats in water. And the habitat in water, they are aquatic habitat, and the aquatic habitats, they are also of the various types. First is freshwater habitat. In the freshwater habitats, the water is fresh water. That means it is not salty. There are various kinds of animals, let's say fish, There are various types of fish which can survive only in the freshwater habitat, or there are various types of fish that can survive only in the salty water. Okay, so depending on this, habitats are also of the various types. So freshwater habitats, in the freshwater habitat, the water is not salty. Okay, it is freshwater. If we talk about the examples are rivers, streams, ponds, lakes, etc. And if we talk about the plants that are found in the freshwater habitat, they are the frogs, lotus, water lilies, etc. Now next is marine habitat. Marine habitat means the salt water habitats. That means in these habitats the water is salty. For example, oceans, coasts, and the marine habitats, they are also home to large variety of plants and animals. That means various variety of animals and plants, they also survive in the marine habitats. Estuaries. Estuaries means the coastal areas. These are the coastal regions where the river containing the fresh water, they meet the salty water of the sea. So estuaries are that coastal area where the freshwater rivers, they are meeting the salty water of the sea. And the estuaries, in the estuaries also various varieties of plants and animals, they are also found. Names are mentioned here. Now we will talk about the adaptation. If we talk about the sea and desert, they are extremely different habitats. Okay, sea is an aquatic habitat and in deserts there is very less water found. And the animals that are found in these two different habitats, their body structures are also very different, because of which they are able to survive in such different kind of environments. So what is habitat? Habitat means the features and the habits of the plants and animals that enable them to survive in their surroundings are called adaptation. Adaptation means the features or the habits of plants and animals because of which they are able to survive in their surroundings. Now we will talk about the adaptations for the various kinds of habitat. We will do this step one by one. Okay, first of all we will start by the adaptation for rainforest. We know that the rainforest, they get adequate amount of rainfall. So rainforest, they are green throughout the year, and the rainforest, they support the growth of the plant, they support vegetation, because of which there are various kinds of plants and the taller trees are found in the rainforest. But the main factor here to which the plants have to adapt is the lack of sunlight, because the taller trees, they have lot of trees at the bottom, at the top. You can see here in the forest, the rainforest, they are so dense, that even the sunlight, it is very difficult for sunlight also to reach bottom. Very less amount of sunlight reaches to bottom in the rainforest. And the taller trees, they have a lot of leaves at the top so as to absorb the sufficient sunlight. Okay, and because of which the much sunlight doesn't reach the lower levels. So the plant, if we talk about the lower levels, as you can see here, these are the plants at the lower levels. They have the broad leaves. Okay, they have the broad leaves so as to observe the much amount of sunlight. Okay, and the last is the tree leaves. They have the special tips because of which the water drip down, or we can say water slips down easily, so that the leaves will not rot. Now we'll talk about the animals in the rainforest. In the rainforest, there is enough amount of water and enough amount of food is available in the forest. Okay, so we see that various kinds of animals, tigers, elephants, monkeys, and a wide variety of insects and the birds, they are found in the rainforest, because in the forest plenty of food is available in the rainforest. And the animals, they depend on the fruits, seeds, young leaves, flowers, and insects for their food. And the elephants, they use their tusks to bear the barks of trees. Tusks means that elephants have long pointed teeth to tear the barks of tree. And if we talk about the camouflage, Camouflage means to match with their surroundings. Okay, most animals they escape them from their predators. Okay, by the camouflaging. Camouflaging means to match with their surroundings. For example, if we take the example of the lion, the color of lion is light brown. Okay, so because of its light brown color, it is easy for lion to hide in the dry grasses so that it can easily catch its prey when it is available. So camouflage means to match with the surroundings. Next is the strong beaks. Birds like parrots and the hornbills, they have the strong beaks because of which they are able to open the hard nuts and the shells or the fruits also. And if we talk about the monkey, we know that the tail of the monkey, it acts as an extra hand for it, and which helps him in climbing, in hanging to the trees, and it also helps because of which it is very easy for monkey to jump from one tree to another tree very fast. Now we will talk about the adaptations for the boreal and the temperate forest. In the boreal and the temperate forest also various kinds of plants like mosses, black spruce, they are found in the boreal forest. While coniferous trees like pines and firs, they are the most abundant in the temperate forest. That means coniferous trees, they are usually seen in the temperate forest. Coniferous trees means the shape, these trees, coniferous trees, they have the shape like cone. As we can see here, these trees, they have shape like cone. Okay, and these trees, they can shed snow easily. That means the leaves of the trees, they are reduced to the needle like structures, and they have the thick waxy coatings which protects them from the cold and also minimize the water loss during the dry months. Water loss, how water loss happens in the plants? We know that in the plants they excrete the excess amount of water through the stomata present on the leaves. This process is known as the transpiration. So in these areas, in these temperate forest, what happen in temperate or boreal forest, the leaves of the trees, they have needle like structures, because of which they lose very less amount of water during the dry months. And when the temperature drops down below the freezing point, okay, freezing point means the temperature at which the water gets converted into ice. Water starts freezing. So that is the freezing temperature at which the water starts freezing. When the temperatures drops below the freezing temperature, these plants they can still undergo photosynthesis during the daytime. So these plants, they have such kind of features. And these plants and some trees, they have the broad leaved plants. Okay, and they usually lose their leaves when these freezing conditions start. So the broad leaves plants, they lose their leaves during these freezing conditions, and the leaves, they do not grow until this danger of the freezing it has passed. Now we'll talk about the animals which are found in these forests. Elks, bobcats, grizzly bears, foxes, snowshoes, they are usually found in these boreal forest. And because we know that in the boreal forest, the temperature is very low, these are extremely cold forest, so these animals, they have the thick fur which protects them from the cold. And these animals, they have the large feet or the hooves. Hooves means the hard part of the foot of some animals, because of which they are able to easily walk through the thick snow. And the animals, they are adapted to the hibernate during the coldest month. When the temperature is very low, when there is extreme cold, okay, during those months, these animals, they hibernate. Hibernate means to go into a state like deep sleep. Last one is the amazing adaptation that is seen in the boreal forest is the wood frog. During the winter months, over the 60% of the body of the wood frog, it usually gets frozen. And this wood frog, it can actually survive by becoming frozen in these during very cold months. So this was all about the adaptations for the boreal and temperate forests. Now we will talk about the adaptations for the grassland. In the grassland, we know that grasslands, they are usually covered with the dense grasses, some shrubs and the moderately sized trees also seen in the grasslands. If we talk about the roots, okay, usually the grasslands, they are dry. So the grasses, they have the long and strong roots which supports them in the windy conditions. That means when the strong winds blows, these strong roots keeps the plant they hold the plant tightly. And these roots, they penetrate the soil. That means they go deeper into the soil to find the water. And because of such long and strong roots, these grasses, they are able to survive even the dry season. Now we'll talk about the animals that are found in the grasslands. Grasslands, they are home to various kinds of animals such as fox, cheetahs, deer, zebras, etc. These animals, they have categorized into the predator and prey. Predator and prey, a very usually seen example is lion as predator. Okay, lion, foxes, they are the examples of predators. And if we talk about the prey examples, they are deer, zebra, etc. If we talk about the predator and the prey features, so first we will discuss about the predators. Predators, let us take the example of the lion. These predators, they have the eyes on their front of their head, which provides them a focused vision, so which helps them to locate the correct position of their prey. And the lion and the cheetahs, they also have the sharp teeth, and they have sharp retraceable claws. Retraceable claws means these animals, they can withdraw their claws inside their toes. Now let's talk about the features of the prey, that how the prey, they can save themselves from the predators. The prey, they have some such features which helps them to escape them from the predators. So let us see what they are. Prey, they have the eyes on the either side of their head, which helps them to see in the all the directions for the danger. And they have the strong hind legs. Hind legs means the legs that are at the back, because of which they can run faster to save themselves from the predators. And some animals, they camouflage themselves as they have the similar color to match their surroundings. As I had given the example of the lion is the color of the lion is light brown. Then the light brown color of the lion, it helps him to hide itself in the dry grasses. Okay, and which helps is to catch its prey and attack a prey when he sees any prey. The black rhinoceros, they choose succulent leaves that have excess water in them. Succulent leaves means that are thick and fleshy, that have excess amount of water in them. So the black rhinoceros, they eat the succulent leaves. And the elephants, they make well by digging into the earth, and other animals, they also use this water. And some animals, they burrow. Burrow means they make some kind of they make small tunnels into the soil, okay, under the grass, and where they hide themselves. So these were the behavioral adaptations which helps the animals to survive in the grasslands. This was all about the adaptations for the grasslands. Now we will see the adaptations for the deserts. Now we will discuss the adaptations for deserts. We know that in the deserts, the land is dry, sandy, and there is less amount of rainfall in the deserts. So not all kind of plants survive in the deserts. Only some kind of plants they can survive in the deserts because the amount of water is less in the deserts. And the plants that are found in the deserts, they are called xerophytes. Xerophytes are the plant that require less water for their survival. Number one is the roots. Because the sandy soil, it cannot hold water, so the water is stored at a very low level below the ground. If we talk about the deserts, the water table in the deserts is low. That means the water is found at very low level below the ground. So the sandy soil, it cannot hold water and the water is stored at a very low level below the ground. So the plants that grow in the deserts, they have a very long roots. Okay, they go deeper into the soil so that they can found water. If we talk about the stems of these cacti plants, they are fleshy, which stores the water inside them. And we know that in the cactus plants, the leaves, they are modified to the spines so as to reduce the amount of water loss. Now we will talk about the animals that are found in the deserts. Deserts are home to the reptiles, insects, and the small mammals. And the animals that are usually seen, they are the camels, rats, snakes, etc. So let's talk about their adaptation. They have thick skins with the fewer pores, and we know that in the desert there is less water available. So the camels, they hardly sweat. Okay, they sweat very less and they excrete less urine, so as to avoid the loss of the water. And the camels, they have the long legs, which keeps the camels protected from the heat of the sand. And they can drink a large amount of water at a time, and because of which they can stay without water for a long time. And the very special feature of the camel is the hump on their back. Camels store fat in their body in this hump. We know that fat is the source of energy. So the camels, they store fat in their humps, because of which they can survive for long time without food and water. We know that camels, they excrete very less urine and their dung is also dry. So because of these features tell us that they lose very less amount of water, and this is the reason that they can survive without water for a long time. If we talk about the rats and snakes, they burrow under the sand during the daytime and they remain inactive during the daytime. And they hunt their prey during night. And the desert animals, they are adapted to be active during early mornings and late evenings, because in these times the temperature is moderate, neither very hot nor very cold. So and they rest during the day when it is the hottest. And these animals, they have very less fur and they have very little body fat, which allows them to lose heat through their skin very easily. And we have studied the camels, they have the body parts such as their humps that are adapted to store fat or store water. And their long legs and thick skin helps them to resist the desert heat. That means their long legs keeps them away from the heat of the sand. Now we will see the adaptations for the mountains. We know that the mountains, they are the habitat that are found at the higher altitudes, and we know that with the increase in the high temperature also goes down. So in these mountains the temperature is low and the climate is cold. But in the mountains also, at the various levels, the various kinds of plants are found. For example, if we talk about the foothills of the mountain, that means at the bottom of the mountains you will see various kinds of tree. Okay, but if we go up the mountains, the temperature starts decreasing. So the plants that are adapted to the harsh climate only they will be found at those levels. And if we go towards the top of the mountain, we will see the coniferous trees. Coniferous trees means the trees that have the shape like cone, because they are adapted to such harsh environment. So let us see the some features of these trees. The common adaptation of such plants are the trees grow tall to trap sunlight. Okay, the trees they will be tall so that they can trap sunlight easily, and the leaves they are small and needle shaped, and the conical shape of the trees and the sloping branches, it helps the plants so that it helps the plant in such a way that they can slide down the snow easily, because of which snow will not accumulate on the leaves of these trees. If we talk about the animals, we will see the yak, mountain sheep, mountain goats, snow leopards, llamas. These are the animals that are adapted to the mountainous habitats, and they are known as the sure-footed animals because the foot of these animals, they are designed by the nature in such a manner so that they can walk easily on the mountains. And these animals they have thick woolly fur which protects them from the cold weather. The thick fur that is on their outer body, it protects them from the cold weather and it acts like a natural jacket for them. And some animals like yak, mountain goats, they have long hair all over their body which helps them from the cold weather. And the strong hooves of the mountain sheep, it helps them to walk on these rocky mountains. And during the winter season, animals living in these habitats they move less so that they can save their energy, and some animals they hibernate to save their energy, and some animals they migrate down from the mountains. Migrate down means from the mountains they come down to the bottom parts of the mountain. If we talk about the adaptations for the polar regions, in the polar regions the temperature, the climate is extremely cold. So the plants, the all kind of plants, they cannot survive here. The plant that can survive in such cold climate, they are the cotton grass, bearberry, Arctic willows, Arctic poppy, etc. Since the plants need to breathe for their survival, they have adapted by producing needle-like leaves. Because of their needle-like leaf structure, the snow falls down. The snow that falls on them, it slides down easily. And these leaves they are waxy to avoid the sticking of the snow on them. And these leaves they are waxy. They have the thick waxy coating on them, which protects the sticking of the snow on them, so that the snow doesn't stick on them. And we have discussed the cone shape of these trees. It avoids the accumulation of the snow on them. That means it prevents the snow to get collected on the leaves of these trees. These leaves they grow for a very short season, and after that they wither away. Now we will talk about the animals of the polar regions. We know that if the climate is cold, so the animals which survive in such cold climate, they have the thick fur which help them to survive well in the polar habitats, because this thick fur they protect them from the cold weather. It acts as an insulation from the cold. And the animals living in this habitat, they need to compete for the food, and they need to protect themselves from their predators. And the polar regions, Arctic foxes and the penguins, they have the body structures that help them to survive in these habitats. And the polar bears, they have two thick layers of fur on their body and a layer of fat also under their skin. You can see here the animals, particularly here we are talking the polar bear. They have the two thick layer of the fur, and there is a layer of fat also which protects them from this harsh cold. And the polar bears, they are well insulated, and they move slowly because these polar bears, they move slowly, and after covering some distance they take rest so that their body do not get overheated. And the penguins, they have a thick skin and a lot of fat to protect their body from the cold. Yeah, this thick skin and the lot of fat, this helps the penguins from the cold. And in the pictures you might have seen the penguins, they move in the groups so as to keep themselves warm. And their bodies are streamlined and they have webbed feet. Webbed feet means the fingers of their feet, if you will see them from closely, you will be able to notice that the fingers of their feet, they are joined, which makes them webbed feet. And because of their streamlined bodies and the webbed feet, they can swim easily. And there are other animals also like reindeers, foxes, seals, whales. They are also adapted to survive in such cold climate. Their body structure is such that they are able to survive in such extreme cold climate. Now we will talk about the aquatic habitat. Plants and animals that live in the water, they have some special features because of which they are able to survive in the aquatic habitats. And the freshwater plants, they are called hydrophytes. Okay, the freshwater plants, they are known by the name hydrophytes. But if we talk about the adaptations for the aquatic habitat, we will notice that there are some plants, they are known as floating plants, and some plants here remain underwater. The plants that remain underwater, they are called submerged plants. Okay, as we have discussed, submerged plants, for example, hydrilla. Hydrilla, submerged plants means when all the parts of the plant, they are underwater. And some plants like lotus and water lily, in such kind of plants, flowers and leaves, they float on water, but their stems, they remain fixed by means of the roots to the soil at the bottom of the pond. Fish, some snakes, frogs, they are found in the freshwater habitat. Freshwater habitat means when the water is not salty, water is freshwater. Frogs use their long frogs use their long legs and the webbed feet to swim. I told you, webbed feet, they help the animal to swim easily. Now if we talk about the marine water means salty water. Marine water plants are seaweeds, rock, weeds, sea grasses, etc. Such kind of plants, they are found in the seas. But if we talk about the coral reefs, they are usually found growing in the oceans. And similarly, as there are some animals, they can survive in the fresh water, there are some animals, they can survive in the salty water. So the crabs, starfish, prawns, sea fish, they are usually found in the sea. And big and small fish of different types, they are found in both salt water and fresh water. Octopus, they live in the deep waters of the ocean. In general, the adaptation shown by the plants and the animals living in aquatic habitats, they are discussed below. The plants that live in water, they are adapted to have the special tissues. So the aquatic plants, they have the special kind of tissues which help them to take in the dissolved gas from the water. The stems and the roots of the submerged plants, they are adapted in such a manner that allows the oxygen from water and air to reach the roots which are submerged in the soil. Submerged plant means in the plants in which all the parts of the plants, they are underwater. And the flowers, they stick out above the surface of the water, which helps the plant in the pollination. And the thick waxy coating on the leaves and the stem, it prevents the plant from the rotting. Rotting means sadna. So the waxy coating on the leaves and the stem, it protects the plants from rotting. If we talk about the aquatic animals, so the aquatic animals, they have the streamlined body. For example, the streamlined body in the fish, it reduces the friction provided by the water. So because of the streamlined body of the fish, they are able to move easily in the water. And these animals, those animals that do not have a streamlined body like octopus and squids. They are adapted to stay deep in the water, and they move using their body parts. And the animals like dolphins that do not have gills, they have blowholes, okay, to take in the air, to take in air. The dolphins, they breathe using the blowholes. They are the nostrils available on the upper parts of the heads of the dolphins, and which helps them to breathe in air when they come out on the surface of the water from time to time. In the TV programs also, you might have seen the dolphins, they come out from time to time. They come out so as to breathe in air with the help of their blowholes. And we know that the webbed feet and the flippers, they helps the animal to swim easily in water. So this was all about the adaptation for the aquatic habitat. Now we will talk about the acclimatization. Let us see what is acclimatization. When people climb mountains, it is difficult to hard breathe on the mountains, and body feels heavy to carry out any activity. We feel difficulty in carrying out or to do any kind of activity on the mountains. The reason is the body is not adjusted to the changes in that particular environment. At higher altitudes, the amount of oxygen in the air is less as compared to the air that is available on the land. So the body has to work harder to produce the energy. But with the passage of the time, the body begins to adjust to the changes on the mountain and making the breathing much easier, and the body becomes more active. So what happens, first when we go to the mountains, we feel difficulty in doing any kind of the activity, but after some days, after few days, the body starts getting adjusted to the environment on the mountains, and after that the breathing becomes easier and the body also becomes active. So the adjustment that has been made by the body to overcome the chronic changes in the surrounding environment within a short time is called acclimatization. So acclimatization means the adjustment that body makes so as to overcome the problems that have arisen due to the small changes in the surroundings within a short period of time. So such adjustment made by the body to overcome the problems that have arisen due to the small changes in the environment within a short period of time is known as acclimatization. Changes can be oxygen availability, temperature, moisture, and food. Every change in the environment requires acclimatization by the living organisms. But acclimatization and adaptation, they are not the same. They are similar, but they are not same. If we talk about the differences between the acclimatization and adaptation, acclimatization is temporary, but the adaptation is a permanent change. Acclimatization means the adjustment that are to be made, but the adaptations means the adjustment that has been already made. So let's revise acclimatization. Acclimatization means the adjustment that is made by the body to overcome the small problems that have arisen due to the small changes in the surroundings within a short period of time. That is acclimatization. And acclimatization is temporary, but the adaptation is a permanent change. So here chapter 10, habitat and adaptation, is complete. Thank you.